Alright, so with the recent arrival of Claude Opus 4.6, OpenAI has also stepped up their game and decided to show us on February 5th, the same day Claude's version dropped, ChatGPT Codex 5.3. We're going to analyze this new model and see what's new. They've been promising us their intention is to move beyond that passive chatbot and start using a more agentic tool. But let's really see what they have in store for us, because ChatGPT comes with a pretty rough history. With that 5.2 they released, it's a model that, while it focused more on programming and boosted that niche, I think it left everyone else far behind. In fact, I think they themselves have acknowledged that with 5.2 they had problems. We went from a model like GPT-4, which agreed with you way too much, to a model like GPT 5.2. I'm talking about extended thinking, which is what I was using, and it just doesn't listen to you at all. We're talking about situations where, say, I'm talking with a client and I ask ChatGPT to respond to that client's message, specifically asking it not to send them a quote. And ChatGPT 5.2 in extended thinking is going to force me to write an email that lists out the different rates and packages I can offer them. I mean, it's one thing for me to ask your opinion and you agree with me without question, even on contradictory points like GPT-4 did, but it's another thing entirely for me to ask you to do something and you just don't do it. That's one reason I stopped using ChatGPT. Still, I'm on Gemini's trial version right now, and I'm liking it quite a bit. Plus, I needed a powerful image generation model, and I think Nano Banana Pro is exactly what I need, but I've used ChatGPT for years, okay? I think I had the premium version for almost a year and change. And this February 10th, I stopped paying for it simply because it wasn't listening to me. Plus, messages were taking way too long to process. So let's see what they're presenting with this 5.3. I'm worried they'll keep going down the same path. I have a lot of faith in this company, but it's true that these last few months, despite all the development they've achieved and the deep reasoning they've achieved, which is really good, I do feel like in other areas it's gotten worse. Well, to truly grasp the magnitude of ChatGPT 5.3, we need to understand the crisis context surrounding its development. In December 2025, Sam Altman declared a code red at the company. And it wasn't just a tactical move, it was a genuine code red. By late December 2025, I suppose everything hit at once. ChatGPT was declining a bit, Nano Banana Pro was delivering the best low-cost images on the market, and Gemini 3 launched with lateral reasoning capabilities and a 1 million token context switch. And really, Gemini 3 proved it has superior problem-solving abilities, offering solutions where models like GPT 5.2 gave overly literal or linear answers. Plus, as we know, Google has an advantage. Beyond having its own AI models, it also has an entire ecosystem. It has a hugely important social network like YouTube, the best search engine out there, which is Google. It has all of Google Drive. I mean, it's really a super powerful tool, and they keep integrating Gemini more and more. It's even in emails now, which makes it increasingly worth getting this tool. So Google really holds all the cards right now to be the leading model by the end of 2026. And OpenAI, with the 5.2, received a lot of complaints. They compared it to GPT-4, and honestly, one of the biggest complaints is the response latency. I mean, I asked Gemini 3 Pro for a task with the best model, which theoretically reasons the most and takes the longest, and maybe it takes a minute to give me the answer, while ChatGPT could take 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes the page would bug out. It'd spend 20 minutes thinking and wouldn't give you an answer. I mean, was it really necessary to spend 20 minutes processing that information, no matter how good it was? Yeah, sure, that's fine. But Gemini also did it well and took like 15 times less than you. And apparently there were also unnecessary rejections due to overly strict security filters. And the solution has been optimizing the inference infrastructure by migrating to NVIDIA GB200 NVL72 clusters, which has made GPT 5.3 25% faster than its predecessors. Also now, theoretically, it has autonomous agentic capabilities. And the thing is, each chat really has a productivity ceiling, and to raise that ceiling, you need multiple models that can work toward longer-term goals, like debugging an entire repository, writing a thesis, and more advanced tasks. This led to GPT 5.3 Codec as an agent, not just a text generator. They're also looking for product verticalization. Facing Google Suite's threat, OpenAI launched independent products like Prism for research, Atlas for web browsing, and Codex for development. Many tools aren't available everywhere or fully accessible yet, but we'll see how things develop. It's also true that OpenAI says it's the most capable agentic coding model on the market to date. One of the most disruptive things is the model's role in its own creation. According to the technical documentation, early versions of the model were instrumented to debug training runs of the new model. It's an effect known as bootstrapping, which basically means it doesn't just learn from human-generated data, but from itself. Unlike older Codex models or standard models trained separately, GPT 5.3 Codex is the first to unify Codex and GPT-5 training into one model, theoretically blending reasoning and world knowledge with software engineering expertise. Plus, GPT 5.3 introduces something really interesting. With all current models, when you send a prompt, you have to wait for the agent or model to finish thinking before you can correct any mistakes it made. Well, theoretically, GPT 5.3 has changed that. The thing is, we can constructively interrupt the agent while it's working, which honestly makes it really powerful, especially for tasks like, for example, building a website and you see it's getting the colors wrong, so you tell it to fix the colors and all that. We'd have to see how it actually works in practice, whether it really works that well. And of course, I'd really like to see how you identify the error while it's generating, since often it thinks first and then gives you the result. But anyway, since we're talking about Codex, we can assume it shows you the code as it goes and all that. But it's true that for a model like GPT 5.2 Extended Thinking or similar ones, I find it tricky because what it really does is think and think and think, then gives you the result. Even if you can see how it's thinking, if you're not seeing the result it's writing for you, it's really hard to give any instruction. Well, there's also transparency in the thinking process, meaning the model will basically be telling us the processes it's going through. We'd already seen this. And basically, it's going to maintain context between the different models, okay? Sometimes the thread got a bit lost when switching from one model to another, right? Basically, it would often break the thread in the conversation. And so, this way we'll be able to have a memory of the project's objectives. All right, let's take a quick look at the benchmarks. First up, we have Terminal Bench, where GPT 5.3 Codex scores 77.3%, a massive jump from GPT 5.2 Codex's 64%, and Claude Opus 4.6 had 65.4%, so theoretically it gets beaten on this benchmark. Terminal Bench basically tests the models inside terminals, right? The terminal of a CMD, this thing we open here in that kind of context. Also, we have the OS World Verified benchmark at 64.7%, but it falls behind Claude Opus 4.6, which scores 72.7%. It says, Oswald is a benchmark for computer use with agents where the agent must complete productivity tasks in a visual desktop environment. Well, they fall behind. It's just that for anything involving opening applications, manipulating visual menus and such, Claude is still ahead. It's true it's not as far ahead as before with that 38.2. There's been a huge improvement from one version to another, but it's still below, right? Here they show us that humans have around 72% accuracy, which, well, they're trying to compare it there with the average human at 29. Then we have SW Bench Pro, which basically measures the ability to solve real GitHub problems in popular repositories. And we see it has 56.8%. This represents a, well, slightly significant increase from that 56.4% that GPT 5.2 Codex had. The improvement may seem marginal, but beyond that small gain, there's also better efficiency and the ability to handle tasks during longer sessions. The model does have some limitations though. Despite the improvements, it still faces challenges in massive repositories with over 150,000 nodes, where it occasionally suffers memory loss and forgets definitions it provided earlier. We also have GDP-Val, which basically evaluates professional tasks across 44 occupations like financial analysis, legal writing, and so on. And the model matches or exceeds human expert performance at 70.9%, same as we have in GPT. 5.2x improvement. We're seeing cybersecurity challenges have also improved quite a bit, almost 10 points. But look, as we know, these are just benchmarks. Plus, they show us what they want to show us, and we really need to test the model ourselves.